Hey guys, I'm BMOC. You're now tuned into BMOCTV. At this review, please check out the last episode of The Culture. We did a lot of when gotta go posts, so it's really fun debating those topics. So check that out. All my co-hosts are from our group, facebook.com/groups/BMOCTV. So today I want to get into the brand new mixtape. What a Time to Be Alive by none other than the combination of Drizzy Drake and the people's champ right now, Future. So at first it was like a rumor if this was gonna come out, or if it's not gonna come out, which date it was gonna come out, and then Drake finally told us on Instagram the date that was gonna come out, and everybody kind of jumped in anticipation. Just, we know we've been working together a lot for a little minute. And it was not a secret project. So I wanted to hear it, like what they have. Plus we know that Future's album just came out. Drake had a mixtape that came out months ago, but he has an album coming out in like the next week or so. So we're like, wow, this is really, really close to his release date. This must be something really special you need to pay attention to. So as soon as it popped up, I went into iTunes. It's an iTunes Apple exclusive. So you can stream it through the Apple Music or download it. I listened to the whole project and here are my thoughts. So the first track is called Digital Dash. Right out the gate, 808s bumping. You get the beat headphones on your head, gonna be rocking. The 808s. Future has the first verse, kind of introducing, in terms of the whole project. He's the first person that you hear. He's had the introduction, the host of this thing. Even though that happens, Drake's verse to me is the show stealer. The hints of his girl makes triple the time he makes. It's something he said. He's with Serena. Little hints. And then also the Quentin Miller name drop, which is kind of cool. The whole ghostwriting thing that him and Meek went about. He actually name drops him in the song, which is kind of like owning the fact that there was some collaboration stuff going on. So it's kind of cool to hear Drake kind of spin that around. It makes it seem like it's old news when it really happened like a month ago. But Drake's the person who's able to kind of take those shots, man, and kind of spin it around to his advantage. So again, it's a really good opener for the project. Then we get into big rings, that big boss talk. Both these guys are at the top of their game, so it'll be no surprise they're gonna talk about them being on top of the game. And Future has a line, man, so I think it's gonna spark some stuff when he says, "You're just a battle rapper, I'm an official trapper." And we all know, if you've been living under a rock, you don't know this, but battle rap's at an all-time high. I'm a huge battle rap fan. Shout out to URL and King of the Dot, Queen of the Ring, RBE, all those Guerrilla Warfare, all those great leagues. And so in UW, Total Slaughter. So him just saying that, I don't know, may spark some things. That I'm a official trapper, just the battle rapper thing. Some battle rappers may have some words with him. So we'll see if anybody kind of takes the bait and goes at him. I'm sure he's probably just alluding to the lyricism. People kind of criticize Future for not being a lyrical miracle guy, but basically he's like, this is the music that I make. People enjoy it. I don't have to have just the scientific wordplay because I'm moving units out here. In other words, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but maybe that's where he's pulling from, because battle rap is more of a technical, lyrical point of view. But interesting. I'll see how some people take that track. Then after that, we get Live from the Gutter, which actually, off a first listen, sounds like it could be like an Energy remix. Energy was a fan favorite off of Drake's If You're Reading This Too Late mixtape that came out earlier this year. Just like the melody and the drum pattern alone kind of reminds me of Energy a little bit, but it's fire. Drake's verses stand out. He's rhyming almost in the same cadence he did with Back to Back, the Meek Mill disc. Just how his vocal tone is and just how he's rhyming his words. I feel like if he recorded Back to Back the same night, I wouldn't have been surprised at this. So again, another great track. Probably one of my favorite beats so far in the album. Then we get into Diamonds Dancing, which is the first track where we get the duet that we've been waiting for. The duet of Future singing and then Drake singing. Both of them singing about, life, love, being rich, relationships. Drake's kind of hitting home to relationships. Future's more of the balling out type of thing. And it makes a good track, man. I know it'll be a female favorite. He's talking about relationships. Girls will be Instagramming and tweeting the lyrics. So again, not a bad song, and definitely what I expected to hear from both of those guys who have a rap, rhymey type of vibe. Also, I love the kicks of this song too. The kicks is really unorthodox. It's just production-wise really interesting how the kicks just kind of like just stutter and go back, and you can't really follow it. I think it's dope. Definitely makes a great trunk banger. After that, we get back to the money with a track called Scholarships. Another I'm balling out of control, money motivation. Maybe, your alarm clock could be scholarships. You wake up in the morning. Just talk about them pretty much just getting money and living life and having fun with being about their business. Again, big money talk from both of them. Then we get into another favorite of mine, which was, obviously Live from the Gutter, but this one is Plastic Bag. And it's one of those records where like Drake makes those anthems for the females, like the plastic bag and getting your money. So you can look at it from like a female motivation empowerment record, or you can look at it as a strip club record, of women getting plastic bags and picking up their money. So it kind of alludes to both, but I'm sure it will be, another strip club joint that Drake's always known for. He's the originator of that sound in terms of like the, I'm talking to you, get your money, you know what I'm saying? Type of thing where he's singing the melodic stuff, but he's giving the motivation to the females, and Future's obviously talking big money talk. So both of them fit in the same lane with that. I also love the 90s style bass with this song from a production standpoint, like the 2015 drums, but the 90s R&B bass, which is dope. Then we get into I'm the Plug. One of the things I found really interesting was that Drake's rhyming on like a more sped up style. It's a dum dum da dum dum da dum dum, almost similar to Meek Mill. I don't know, maybe I'm reaching a little bit. I don't know, but it definitely sounds something like I can hear Drake rhyming in terms of the rhyming pattern. And this song, Future is Future. Future does what he does. Like the turn up, mumble, auto-tune type of thing, which is cool, that we love. But I still think Drake kind of stands out. I think he really stood out a lot on this album overall. I think Future definitely kept the counterbalance of just the trap. You don't gotta know what I'm saying, you just mumble or vibe with me type of thing. And Drake gives more like the quotables, the actual real lyricism you're kind of checking for. So this track's another example of that. Then we get into Change Locations, which again is another example of Drake and Future's chemistry. The whole theme is like, I got money to spend, me and my friends, which could be another strip club record, but it's also a little bit laid back. Sonically, it reminds me of tracks that I've worked before in the past with both Drake and Future. So again, it just speaks about their chemistry and like their synergy, so to speak, with this track, how they balance each other out. But it definitely could be another strip club anthem, but also like a laid back type of vibe. It can also work for radio. After that, we get into a song called Jumpman. It really wasn't one of my top favorites of the album. It kind of felt like a leftover track for somebody's project. Not necessarily that it's bad, but it gets a little redundant after you kind of heard some of the same stuff for the previous track. So it was cool. I could have done with or without it. After that is Jersey, which is a solo Future track, which is cool. It fits definitely sonically with the whole entire project, but it was okay. Again, the other tracks were just a little bit more stand-outish to me than Jersey, but not bad. Maybe after another few plays, I feel like people could get into it. It could be like sports related, it could be a theme in that regard. Something I definitely could have heard on Future's album by itself. Then last but not least, we have the 30 for 30 Freestyle, which is a solo Drake record, which I felt could have been like on his album. But I mean, it's dope. More introspective bars. It gives me that same feel he gave me on 6 p.m. in New York off of the last mixtape. 40, his engineer producer, actually created the track, and I mean, it's dope. It's basically Drake talking about his position in the game, talking about how people are treating him, talking about how he's seen, from his success, people change around him, and just he knows where he's at right now. Also, little subliminal shots. I don't know, again, if he's still coming at Meek, maybe he recorded during that whole back and forth phase, but definitely, some alluding hints of like somebody being missing from the game and how it's obvious, and we ain't gonna look past it. Little shots. So Drake sometimes sends out those little warning shots. You never know who he's coming at, but he had to diss back and forth with Meek, so I'm assuming it could be Meek related, or it could just be him just rhyming, and it's like whoever takes offense to it, it's on you. So overall, it definitely exceeded my expectations, so to speak. I'm not necessarily the biggest Future fan, and I like maybe Drake's material a little bit more. I always check for Drake stuff on the radar, just because he is the top guy in hip hop right now. So you always gotta pay attention to that. But I think they did really well, a good job. Definitely like the first 6 or 7 songs I know will probably be the favorites for me. Towards the end, it gets a little like, oh, okay, all right. But definitely the first 6 songs, especially that Live from the Gutter one, the Plastic Bag one, Diamond Dances, the one that me and my friends making ends or got money to spend, that song. So again, they did a good job. I definitely be playing some of these tracks over again. So what do you guys think? Drake has an album coming out pretty soon, so it was almost like a risk putting out this project. This project could have been a flop, which we still don't know. It just came out, so it could be received well or not received well. But it's pretty risky being like, listen, I got a collaborative mixtape coming out, and my album's coming out. You know what I'm saying? So, and Drake's everywhere. So it's definitely a risky move that could pay off. It could feel like Drake's season right now for the next couple of months. So after you guys hear, let me know your thoughts. What did you think? What were your favorite tracks? Are you hating it? Is it more of the same? Do you like it? Is it a different thing from Drake's? A different thing from Future? Do you like them together? Do you want them to do more songs? Let me know. Put it in the comments. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I post new reviews every Friday, sometimes Saturday or Sunday if it's an exclusive. But typically I do every Friday. Also check out the brand new episodes of The Culture every Monday with all my co-hosts who are coming from the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/BMOCTV. If you want to be on that show, just join the group, holler at me, you're on it. That's it. For all this and more, check out youtube.com/BMOCTV. Please subscribe or BMOC.TV. I'm BMOC. Peace.